Now in this video, we're going to continue analyzing Fox Manufacturing. And what we're going to look at in this section now, we're going to look at the firm's leverage ratios. Now, leverage ratios measure the extent to which the firm is financed by debt. This is important because companies don't go bankrupt owing too little debt. They all go bankrupt owing too much debt. So leverage ratios are something you need to keep an eye on, make sure the firm is within its means, I guess. Now, in this particular problem now, they ask us to look at two leverage ratios. One is called the debt ratio, and it's defined as total debt divided by total assets. And for this particular company now, Fox, the total debt of the company, total debt of any company now, is the current debt plus the long-term debt. So for Fox, this is the current liabilities plus the long-term debt. So to get the numerator of this equation now, you take current liabilities of $75,000, add to it the long-term debt of Fox Manufacturing, which is $150,000. So add those together, that's the numerator. And what we're going to do is divide that by the total assets of the company, which is $408,300. Now for Fox, that means that they have a debt ratio of 0.55. That's what kind of comes up in your calculator. 0.55 is, of course, the decimal equivalent of 55%. And what this means now is that 55% of the assets of this company are financed by some form of debt. Now, what's the lowest number the debt ratio can ever be? 0. That is, the company would have no debt. The highest it could be is 100%. Everything is financed by debt. All things being equal, you'd rather have less debt than more debt. So with Fox now, they have 55% of their assets financed by debt. The typical firm in the industry only has 30% of its assets financed by debt. And the way you would analyze this and what you would say is that the extent to which Fox Manufacturing is financed by debt is higher than that of the typical firm in the industry. They have more financial leverage. Okay? The other leverage ratio we're going to talk about now, this is the times interest earned ratio. And this is a somewhat important ratio to a lot of banks. And they follow the times interest earned ratio because it tells you how easily, how well you can pay the interest on your debt. And if you can't pay the interest on your debt, that's one of the technical definitions of bankruptcy. So this is something that lots of banks, lots of creditors follow. The times interest earned ratio is EBIT, or operating profit, divided by your interest expense. Now if you go to the income statement for Fox Manufacturing now, you'll go down and you'll see something that says operating profit. Operating profit and earnings before interest and taxes, EBIT, is the same thing. So the numerator of this equation is going to be operating profit, or $80,000. The denominator is the interest expense, which is the next thing on the income statement, which for this company is $10,000. 80,000 divided by 10,000, the times interest earned ratio for Fox Manufacturing is 8. What that means is that Fox could pay the interest on its debt 8 times. All things being equal, you'd like this number to be higher as opposed to lower. And indeed, the typical firm in the industry can pay the interest on its debt 12.3 times. And again, you'd like this number to be higher relative than lower. The way you would look at this, if you were an analyst now, you conclude that Fox Manufacturing's ability to pay the interest on their debt is below that of the typical firm in the industry. Overall leverage analysis, Fox Manufacturing is financing to a larger extent by debt than the typical firm in the industry.